Well, turning to the news, Hamas has received a crushing blow from one of its longtime allies. The government of Sudan has seized a number of the terror group's financial assets, crippling its efforts to wage war on Israel.
Well, the move is an indication of larger changes taking place in the Middle East. Chris Mitchell reports on the growing impact of the Abraham Accords.
While Hamas in the Gaza Strip remains a formidable military foe to Israel, the decision by Sudan strikes at the way Hamas finances their terror state.
It's a blow to Hamas' financial capabilities, which is important by itself because Sudan was a major center where Hamas economic activity was taking place and was the main source of income for the organization, for the movement.
Retired General Yossi Kupperwasser is the former head of Israel's military intelligence. He says Sudan, once a state sponsor of terror, is shifting its alliance to the West.
It's important for Sudan because it's a message that it is really trying to get rid of its past as a hub for Hamas activity and Hamas financial activity.
At one time, Sudan was a hub for radical Islam, even harboring Osama bin Laden in the 1990s. But in 2019, the Sudanese overthrew dictator Omar al-Bashir, and the government began to change. Last year, President Trump paved the way for a Sudan-Israel peace when he removed Sudan from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. Kupperwasser says the Abraham Accords played an enormous part in Sudan's decision.
Definitely. I think when Sudan decided to embark on this initiative and join the Abraham Accords, they knew what is the price. I mean, I think that the Americans and maybe even the Israelis were delivering this message. You cannot have the Abraham Accords on the one hand and keep supporting Hamas on the other.
The move also represents a wider shift in the region. On Sunday, for the first time, Egypt Air flew directly from Cairo to Tel Aviv. And last week, Bahrain flew its first direct flight to Israel. On the same day, Israel inaugurated its embassy in the capital city, Manama. Gordon?
Well, Chris, tell us the bigger picture here. What does this do to developments? What does this signal to the region and especially to Iran?
Well, I think it does, Gordon, it signals that these countries are really closing ranks right now. All these countries see Shiite Iran as their mortal enemy, and that's why so many of them are concerned if the U.S. renews the Iranian nuclear deal. Why? Because they see Iran right now as paving the way for a nuclear arsenal. And they see Iran on the verge of getting weapons-grade enriched uranium. And also they see Iran's proxy threatening them, too. For example, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards are training and funding groups like the Houthis, and they threaten Saudi Arabia. Hezbollah and Hamas, they threaten Israel on its northern and its southern border. And Iran right now is just across the Persian Gulf from many of these Gulf states. So right now, we're seeing these alliances in the region growing and getting stronger due in large part to their common enemy, Iran.
What does this mean for Hamas? I think many people don't know that Hamas diverts humanitarian aid. They divert the fuel that should go into power plants. They actually sell it so that they can buy weapons. They intentionally keep the population unemployed and in poverty. What is this going to mean for Hamas and the funding of its terror networks?
Well, it's a big blow, Gordon, right now. But they also do get funds from Qatar and Iran. But actually, this funnel from Sudan was very, very important to them. As you said, unemployment is 65% right now in the Gaza Strip. 4 to 12 hours a day. People that's the only kind of electricity they have. So they take these millions of dollars and they do divert it to their military infrastructure, whether it's tunnels trying to get into Israel itself or the weapons. The Iranians provide missile technology, so that's what they're building as well. And so they really do keep their population sort of under the iron fist. But nonetheless, this is going to be a blow to them financially. But their ideology remains the same, Gordon. They're committed to destroy the Jewish state.
Well, tell us the benefits to Sudan. I think many people don't understand that either, that when people come to peace with Israel, now suddenly they open trade with Israel. What are the benefits going back to Sudan?
Well, they're going to see the same kind of benefits that other countries right now in the Abraham Accords are experiencing. More technology, tourism, greater investment. Right now, the UAE and Bahrain, there's already $1 billion worth of investment between Israel and these countries, and that's growing. Also, remember, Sudan is rich in oil, but it's also one of the poorest countries in Africa. So Israel really could be, and they want to be, a partner with Sudan to sort of raise them up, to come alongside and be a blessing. And Gordon, I think it's part of the DNA of Israel. They want to be, just like the CBN documentary says, to life, Israeli volunteers to change the world. They want tikkun olam, that Jewish concept of healing the world, and they want to help Sudan.
Yeah, light to the nations. I think they're really going to help Sudan with agriculture, with irrigation, with water technology. It's going to be an absolute game changer. So this is wonderful news from the Middle East. Well, Chris, once again, thanks for your insight.